Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video, and I just want to say a Merry Christmas to everybody who is watching. This is obviously going to be probably our last video before Christmas, so I do wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and hopefully you guys have a wonderful time with your families. Obviously, it's a tough time of the year for us all, but hopefully we can all just have one amazing day with our families on Christmas, and hopefully we can just have a great day. And so I wish you guys and your families all the very best and a very Merry Christmas. So today we are going to be taking a look at the 4-3-3-5 formation, a formation that was definitely one of my favorites last year in FIFA 21. This year I've had some use out of it. I've kind of been obviously trying out lots of different formations, trying to make a lot of different videos regarding lots of different formations because not everybody wants to play with the same one. So today I wanted to try out this 4-3-3-5 and see if it would suit. And I actually think, just briefly looking at my team now and what we've got, I think it actually suits my team quite well. Obviously, we have Cantona, who's not really a striker, actually fits quite well in that centre-forward position. Obviously, got those three midfielders as well. So it seems to suit a lot of the players that I've got at the moment. And one thing to say before we start, the two central midfield positions where Capoue and Verratti are, they are very, very critical. And we'll get into that later on in the video. So without further ado, going into the tactics, these are the tactics that I found to be the best and most successful with this formation. I went for pressure on heavy touch. I've started to incorporate a press into my game. I've started to find a good way that I can get pressure on into my game, but not leave me too open. So the pressure on heavy touch works. It just means in very certain scenarios, my team will press, and I like that because I think playing on a press is very effective in this game if you know how to do it properly. If you can do it properly and if you can do it effectively, it is very, very effective. The downside to obviously playing on a press is sometimes it can leave you a bit exposed if somebody does manage to get through your press. And secondly, it can be very draining on your players. I'd probably say maybe 15 to 20 times a game, this press will activate. So it will burn a lot of stamina on your players. So you do need to make sure if you are going to play this, you've got obviously some good substitutes to bring on, or your players starting have high stamina. In terms of the defensive width, gone for around about 45. Just want to be, I think it's better to be a little bit narrow when you're defending rather than too open. I'd rather your opponents have the wing than have the middle of the pitch. And then 60 on the depth. The higher the depth you play with a press, the more effective it is. But I found 60 works quite well. I managed to sort of get high, but also not leave myself too open for just like a chip through ball over the top. So 60 is the perfect depth for me. On the build-up play, we are going with fast build-up. Now, I did say in a previous video that we are going to start using fast build-up a bit more, and I think this is a formation that works quite well in. I think generally wing formations can be quite effective for fast build-up, and especially the way that we've got it, and we'll get to that in the instructions. But fast build-up for this formation is very good. Obviously, you have the DM, the centre mid, and the centre forward. So those four in that midfield can really ping a couple of passes together quite quickly and move you up the field quite fast. So the only thing to bear in mind with a fast build-up is sometimes it can obviously pull a lot of players out of position, as you may know, can leave you a little bit exposed on counter-attacks, but I would much rather have that and, you know, give up a couple of opportunities. I feel like defensively I can defend most players, so I feel like I can be okay with that. If you are someone that maybe doesn't think that they can deal with that, I would recommend then switching to long ball. You're then just relying on the AI to make runs for you, but your team is still going to have that shape. So it depends on how you think you can cope with the fast build-up. We've then got chance creation. We are playing on balanced. I didn't think any of the others really suited this formation. I think the direct passing, especially with the fast build-up, would just be kamikaze. It would leave you way too open. Same with the forward runs, and the possession is just very counterproductive. You're playing fast build-up, but then you get to the final third and you're just playing possession, so it kind of doesn't really work. So I've gone for the balance just because it's going to then allow us to let our instructions, especially in the final third, it's going to allow our instructions to really take over and dictate how our team plays. And I think that's perfect because none of these other chance creations really work for us. We then got 65 on the width. It kind of works for us. I found that the width in this formation, I find if you go super, super wide, it's just far too open. And it's just far too difficult to really create anything because you feel like you're having to ping 20 or 30 yard passes all the time to make any successful tackles. But I found 65 is quite well. It does just open up that midfield a little bit, which I quite like because I think the way it's set up, it is very, very tight. And I think that space between sort of Capoue and Mendy and Verratti and Hakimi is a little too wide for my liking. So I've just stretched it out a little bit, just sort of 5 yards apart. And I find that just works very, very well. We've then got 6 on players in the box, just to have that extra player getting forward because that is very, very important, especially for those midfielders. And then 1 on the corners and free kicks. Now moving forward into the instructions, pretty much the goalie and back four is as you'd expect. The goalkeeper comes crosses and sweeper keeper, 2 centre backs on stay back, and the 2 full backs as well are on stay back while attacking. The rule for us is when we have wingers, when we have left and right midfielders, left and right wingers, we don't need the fullbacks going forward. We've already got plenty of width, plus that width is quite high. Rather than it being a left or right mid, it's left or right wingers. So your fullback has got to travel a long way up the pitch just to overlap a couple of yards. So I don't think it's really necessary in this formation, especially with the way we have it set up, especially with how attacking we've got it set up. We don't need those fullbacks going forward. I'd rather have that solid foundation in defense. And then Kante in that midfield slot, of course, pretty much the standard stuff again, as you would normally see. The cut passing lanes, the stay back while attacking, and the cover center. Obviously, Kante is a machine. Managed to pack him untradeable the other day, so that's obviously a big plus and really makes a big difference, especially to my team, and probably had a positive impact on how this formation felt. Having that proper DM, if you've got someone like a Kante, someone like maybe that Atebo or that So or that Patrick Vieira, you know, Keane, someone like that in that position, any of the players that are around at the moment, they would all be perfect for this position. You want a proper out-and-out DM in this position, either somebody who's very nimble or somebody who's very big-bodied. Someone like that in this position is perfect. We're then going to skip over the midfielders. We're going to come back to them at the end of the video. We've got Cantona on stay central and the false 9. Obviously, with him playing as a centre forward, you want him to play as that false 9, hence why you've selected to play this formation. There's no point picking him on stay central and getting behind, because then he's just going to play like a striker. So you may as well play in that false 9. And the false 9 this year, I don't think, the one thing I will say, it's not as effective as it was last year. Last year, the false 9 I thought was super, super effective in this formation. This year, I think for my liking, the centre forward, he does drop a little bit deep. He does drop very deep into midfield, and sometimes you can have no focal point up front. So I don't quite like the false 9 as much this year, but it does create lots of space for some of your other positions, hence why we said the midfielders are very important. We've then got the wingers, so we've got Zaha and Chiesa. Now, we've got both of these guys on cut inside, getting behind, and getting to the box. So the get into the box, pretty standard. Obviously, you want more bodies getting in there for more chances created. The cut inside as well, because I'd rather have him connected more to the midfield, more to that centre forward, especially when that centre forward does vacate the space. You do need the wingers drifting inside to take that space. And it's obviously very, very effective because it means the centre-backs have got no one to mark. He's very likely then to pull a centre-back out of position, could easily leave space for one of your midfielders. So these guys have to be on cut inside. The reason why I've left them on stay forward is because obviously if you've got fast wingers, which really you should, you kind of want these guys to play as sort of left and right strikers, almost like old school inside forwards. That's how these guys want to play. And because the rest of the formation's quite solid and quite defensive already, I'd rather have these guys on stay forward just to utilize that pace on the counter-attack. It's a very good counter-attacking formation. It's very good for that, and especially with the fast build-up, I think these guys on stay forward will work very well. It means I'm always going to have a player up front to bounce and work off. So I definitely think these guys on stay forward is very, very effective. It's not something that I use too often, but it is something that's very effective in this formation. And then moving back into that midfield. Now, there's nothing too fancy about the way that we've set up that midfield. The only thing we've changed is we've put the 2 midfielders on cover centre, and everything else is exactly the same. But the thing that's very important with these 2 midfielders is these 2 midfielders. Now, Caputo and Verratti weren't great because obviously they're not attacking midfielders. You really want more attacking midfielders in this because you've got fast build-up. They're getting forward more often because you've got quite a defensive back 4 and CDM. These guys that do a lot of attacking, they get into it, and with Cantona dropping into a centre forward position, vacating lots of space, these guys generally you want on get into the box for crosses as well. But these guys get into a lot of attacking positions, and they scored probably 50%, I'd say, of my goals. So you need attacking midfielders, ideally in these 2 positions, because they get into a lot of attacking opportunities. Generally, what happens is Caputo, Verratti get forwards, and Cantona is the one who's typically sliding passes through for the 2 midfielders. So you need to make sure your 2 midfielders are generally a bit more attacking, and obviously have the high shooting, the high dribbling, the high passing, all those stats right there. So that is the way we set up this 4-3-3-5. I absolutely love this formation. Did I enjoy it as much as maybe I enjoyed it last year? Maybe not. I think last year it was definitely one of my top favorite formations. This year, still a great formation. But I think that just says how much I liked it this year. It's still brilliant. I'd give this formation probably an 8 out of 10. It is a fantastic formation. You got to get the personnel right. So follow a lot of the tips that we recommended throughout the video, and I'm sure you guys will set up this formation properly and have a great time with it. And as I said at the start of the video, Merry Christmas to all you guys. Hopefully you guys have an absolutely amazing Christmas with your families, and I do wish you guys all the best, and I will see you on the other side of Christmas. But if you did enjoy the video, do drop a thumbs up and subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. That is all for today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.